Say hello to a new friend on an old road. Take a two-lane trip of memories into mysteries unknown. Come along for the ride. Jim Hinckley's America. Jim Hinckley's Jim.
Hey, good morning, everyone. How are we doing this beautiful day? Hey, we're going to do something a little different today. Kind of a new series. We're going to alternate a little bit. We're going to go out for breakfast on occasionally, do a bit of a virtual program, and we are going to take a little bit of a time travel situation here and there. Today it's Arizona. And since we're talking about road trips, well, we can't talk about road trips without talking about our good friends at Route Trip USA. Your experts in USA and Canadian road trip holidays. These folks eat, drink, and sleep road trips. They know road trips. But today, what we're doing is we are going to be doing a little bit of road trip travel in Arizona. Travel through time, if you will. So, with that said, let's get this show on the road. We'll start with this one. Here's a little bit of a landmark for you. And I want to give a shout out to Joe Sonderman and Steve Ryder and Mike Ward. They supply these historic photographs and postcards. Some are out of my collection. But we'll start with this one. The Ortega family. They had the El Rancho and Gallup and other things, but the long family tradition of trading with the Native Americans, Navajo, Hopi, Zuni, in eastern Arizona, as well as New Mexico. This particular picture here was the Indian Trails Trading Post. This was established at Lupton, Arizona on June 21st, 1946. The trading post was demolished to make room for the Interstate 40 service road in 1965. Trying to find all my stuff here this morning. Here's another one that's pretty neat. This was the Quinero Canyon Trading Post. This was established by Claude and Clara Lee. They later bought the big arrows from Slim Brazier. When Route 66 was realigned in the 1950s, the Quinero Canyon Trading Post was abandoned. And there's nothing there but the foundations now near the Quinero Canyon Bridge. This one is kind of interesting. This is the Navapachi Cafe. This was located in Chambers, Arizona, and it was named for trading post operator Charlie Chambers. Chambers had started out sheep herding and ranching in that area many, many years before, predating Route 66, actually. And other businesses here included the Cedar Point Trading Post and the original Chambers Trading Post, later owned by Alice and Frank Young. When Chambers was bypassed, they would build the Chieftain Motel on Interstate 40. To the best of my knowledge, there's not much left of the Navapachi except for the ruins. This is a really, really special place here. It is the Route 66 past, its future, all manifest in one location. This is the painted desert trading post that was established sometime around 1942 by Dodge and Alberta Windsor on a rocky hill above the Dead River, just east of the Petrified Forest National Park and the Painted Desert. They Dodge and Alberta divorced in 1950, and Dodge married Joy Nevin. And as a little bit of a tidbit, there's a place in street in Holbrook, Joy Nevin Avenue or Street. And a lot of these places had quirky advertisements, and one of their promotions was for a 150-pound canary. When tourists found out it was just a burro, and then the Dodge informed them that prospectors called the burro the canary of the desert. The road was abandoned, bypassed, and shortly before that, Dodge and Joy split up. And in 1956, sometime around 1956, the place was totally abandoned. And as you can see from the picture in the upper left, when I visited, 10 years ago, so it was in pretty damn bad shape. It was probably one good snowstorm away from collapse. And a group of dedicated preservationists, excuse me, I'm so sorry. A group of dedicated preservationists with funding and friends from Dries Bessels, the Netherlands, but Roman Rich, Jim Ross, Shelley Graham, Mike Ward, Steve Ryder, they formed a co-op and purchased the property. And this is remote. It was remote when it was new, and now it's a little bit of a challenge to get there. Yeah, it's miles from any main highway. But over a period of a couple seasons, they have repaired the foundation, leveled the building, jacked it up, put a roof on it, and created kind of a time capsule, if you will, a photo op to give a hint of what this place was like in its prime. And really neat. They have received recognition in a national preservation magazine for their efforts. Kind of an exciting endeavor. Shows what can be done with passion, dedication, and support of the community. This one is another little gem here. This is Julia Grant Miller was the sister of Harry Indian Miller. And for those who aren't familiar with the story, Harry Miller had the two guns at Canyon Diablo, and he was involved in a murder. Shot Earl Kundras down there, and it was a real nasty trial, and somehow he got acquitted. He went over and opened another trading post called Cave of the Seven Devils over in right at the Arizona-New Mexico border. Well, this trading post was owned by Julia Grant Miller, and her Painted Desert Park offered a spectacular view of the Painted Desert. She battled with Charles White Mountain Smith, superintendent of the Petrified Forest, who said her establishment was unsanitary and unsightly. And one of the great little tidbits, I mean, it's just amazing how people used to travel. You notice what it says, wild animals. There was actually an incident where a mountain lion at the zoo nearly scalped a visitor. That would definitely change, give you a holiday experience never to forget. Petrified Forest National Park. This is the only national park bisected by Route 66, and the alignment through the park is no longer accessible except on special events and special tours. But when you do the loop drive through Petrified Forest and Painted Desert, there's a pullout, and they've got it marked with an old Studebaker car and some plaques about Route 66, and you can see it stretching across the scenic desert at that location. We're going to make this kind of a series. We're going to do a few of these once in a while. Like I said at the beginning, I had a little bit of technical issue there at the beginning. We are going to... we'll go out to eat, have some breakfast to show you a few places. and then we'll do some time travel every once in a while. Today, there's not enough time to do all of Arizona. So we're just going to do a few of these key places in eastern Arizona, and then we'll do other states and we'll do other highways. But we'll start with this morning. This is the Painted Desert Inn. It's now the Museum and Visitor Center there at the Petrified Forest. Kind of an interesting history. It was originally opened in 1924 as the Stone Tree House. It was largely built of petrified wood by Herbert D. Lohr. Purchased by the government in 1936 when they established the Petrified Forest, the Civilian Conservation Corps remodeled the building into a Pueblo revival style. And the Fred Harvey Company ran this as a hotel from 1947 until 1963. Fortunately, it was saved. They were talking about demolishing it in 1975, but it was revamped and remodeled as the visitor center and museum at the park. This next one, this is in Holbrook, Arizona. It's still there, as you can see. The building is empty. It's gone through several different manifestations over the years. Harry Holbrook, first of all, was named for Harry Holbrook. He was an engineer for the Atlantic and Pacific Railroad, which later became the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railroad. This is Navajo Boulevard and West Hopi Drive. It was Chester B. Campbell's Coffee House. It originally opened in 1928. And one of their menu offerings is kind of interesting. It was son of a bitch stew, a cowboy dish made with a heart, liver, brains, and calf organs. Wow, doesn't that sound yummy? And it went through a little bit of a revamp, a little bit of a remodel in just around World War II. And it's still standing, but it's like I say, it's empty and it's waiting for a new lease on life. Now here's one for you, the Pow Wow Trading Post. It's another little interesting place there in Holbrook. Jack Payne originally opened the Pow Wow Trading Post. It was later purchased by Edward and Pauline Leopold. And their son, Ken, and his wife, Gwen, took over in 1946. Its massive Kachina sign stands in front of the Pow Wow. The wording was changed from Motel to Rocks when the motel units were converted into the rock shop. Another bit of interesting but somewhat useless trivia there for you. Okay, how about the Geronimo Trading Post? This is a landmark. It's still there. It's kind of unique in that it's most of the trading posts were decimated when they bypassed Route 66 with the creation of I-40. But this one survived. They has its own exit off Interstate 40. This was opened about 1950 by Doc Hatfield. It's about 5 miles or so west of Holbrook. Hatfield ran it until 1967 when Carl Kimpton acquired it. And then he added on to it, modified it, and created the current Geronimo Indian store. Their claim to fame here is still the world's largest petrified log, estimated to weigh 89,000 pounds. Got a great little photo op. Most of the trading posts are gone, but the whole west of The whole east side of Arizona was all trading posts. At one point, my family had pictures from I don't even know when. We made a trip west, oh God, 59, 60, somewhere in there. And one of the trading posts had a big sign. My dad laughed and laughed for years. He kept the picture. It said the billboards, see live rattlesnake, see jackrabbit, see live Indian. Not politically correct, but, well, those were the times. Here's a little success story for you. This is the Marble Motel in Winslow, Arizona, which is now Earl's 66. And Earl's Motor Corps, or Earl's 66, gets great reviews. People really enjoy this. But what you have to understand with these old Route 66 motels, no matter how much they're refurbished, it's not a five-star property. They're time capsules. Usually a motel like this, you'll get a good, clean, basic room. But it's not going to have the amenities you're used to. This is not the Holiday Inn Express. But you'll have warm, friendly owners, and you'll have a good time. The Marble Motel is located at 512 East 3rd Street, which is Route 66, there in Winslow. It was built in the mid-1940s. And it was totally remodeled and revamped with a new facade in 1952. And it's the oldest Route 66 motel still in operation in Winslow. And it rates as one of the oldest motels still operating on Route 66, to be honest. There's a few others. Of course, our sponsor, the Wagon Wheel Motel, dates to 1936. And the Blue Swallow Motel in Tucumcari, 1939. Okay, let's see. What we've got next is this one. The Hopi House, Indian Trading Post, 10 miles west of Winslow, Arizona. Motel, trailer park, cafe, baskets, Navajo rugs, pottery. It's all gone. But it has a very interesting history. Former Hawaiian band leader Roy Meany and his wife Ella Blackwell opened the Hopi House at Route 66 and Arizona Route 99, known as Layup Corner. They also own the Old Frontier in Joseph City. And a little bit of contention, that just got torn down recently. When they divorced, Ella got the Old Frontier and Ray swapped the Hopi House for a motel in California. And Interstate 40 doomed the Hopi House. What's really interesting about this is that Ella went on, and the Ella's Frontier Outpost is kind of an oddball. Boy, I tell you, that's got a story and a half to itself, too. Scout, trapper, prospector, and poet Frederick San Diego Rawson, he established San Diego's Old Frontier Trading Post along Route 66 in 1927, just west of Joseph City. He sold it in 1947, and then Ella Blackwell got it in her divorce settlement. Ella had, to be polite, saw some mental issues. And she began talking to mannequins, claiming the post was established in 1873. It was abandoned when she died in 1984 and has since been demolished, just very recently. The Jackrabbit Trading Post. This is a true gem and time capsule. I just can't say enough about this. It was originally a Santa Fe Railroad building, and then it was a Route 66 landmark tourist trap. The Arizona Herpetorum in 1949. Jack Taylor let all the snakes loose and established the Jackrabbit Trading Post. Then Glenn Blansett leased it in 1961. He bought it in 67 after he retired as a state senator. His daughter and son-in-law took over in 1969, and they sold it to their daughter and son-in-law, Cynthia and Antonio Yaquez, in 1995. They still run it and do just a wonderful, wonderful job preserving this landmark. The billboards featuring the Black Bunny it was, gosh, they had billboards all across, back as far as, supposedly as far away as New York at its peak. And it went on to appear in the movie Cars. Very iconic. It's a very iconic place and highly recommended. It's just west of Joseph City. And then we have Meteor City. Man, I don't know what to say here. Winslow was promoted as Meteor City, and Joseph Schauber took the name for his service station. He built it in 1938 out by Meteor Crater. Then Jack Newsom took over the station in 41, and he opened a trading post. And he erected a sign on Route 66 reading Meteor City Population 1. Then he married a gal named Gloria, and they changed the sign to Population 2 in 1946. Jack and Gloria, they built the Meteor City Trading Post. Jack died in 1960. And Gloria, she became known as the Witch of Route 66. She was a justice of the peace there, and she handed down harsh speeding tickets. The building burned in 1960s, and a geodesic dome was built to replace it in 1979. And that appears in the 1984 film Starman, starring Jeff Bridges. And they had another fire in 1990, and then they rebuilt the dome. It was abandoned for a long time. But I am pleased to announce it is currently undergoing restoration. I think we have time for one more, maybe. This is a neat place. Lots and lots of history at this place. It starts out, Canyon Diablo. It started out with the construction of a railroad bridge, Atlantic and Pacific Railroad. And they ran it really almost that and the Johnson Canyon Railroad Tunnel. Building a bridge here in the tunnel pretty much almost bankrupted the Atlantic and Pacific Railroad in 1881 and 82. And they north of this site you see in the movie, or see on the screen here, was a little town of Canyon Diablo. And it was a railroad construction camp and ranching place, mostly just drinkers. There had one street, Hell Street, and at its peak, it supported, according to what I have been able to find, 14 saloons, 10 gambling dens, and 4 brothels. And according to the Arizona Archives, the first marshal was killed 5 hours after being sworn in. And when the bridge was finished, the town pretty much died off. There's a great story from Bucky O'Neill, which we'll get to some other day, but he was quite a fellow. If you want to look him up, went into Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders, had a lot of exploits, and he hunted down some bad boys up there. The modern incarnation here, Two Guns. Earl Kundras Canyon Lodge Store and Camp opened in 1924. Near this building you see here, there's a bridge that was built over the canyon on the National Old Trails Road back around 1916 over at Canyon Diablo. And that's where Earl Kundras built his Canyon Lodge and store. And then in March 1925, he leased it to Harry Indian Miller. Miller had lived among the Philippine headhunters and worked in silent movies, done a few odds and ends. Billed himself as Chief Crazy Thunder. He built a roadside zoo and named the complex Fort Two Guns after a film that he had worked on starring William Hart. There's another dark chapter with this canyon and this site of Two Guns. And there's what they call the Apache Death Caves. And it's a real place, but they turned it into a tourist attraction during this era of National Old Trails Road and Route 66 tourism. Some Navajos were trapped by Apaches in a cave here at Canyon Diablo and killed. And Harry Miller, he built fake ruins and turned the Apache Death Cave into part of his roadside attraction. The story gets even darker. Miller shot and killed Earl Kundras. at this building. And Kundras was unarmed. Miller still claimed self-defense and was acquitted. He later was arrested for defacing Kundras' grave. Miller went on to do some other things, and Two Guns, well, it survived in various incarnations. When Route 66 was realigned, a lot of this was moved further closer to the new highway. A lot of these older places were building. Other colorful characters established businesses here, like Remy Jim Giddings. Real colorful character. That's a story for another day. Hey, we've almost ran out the clock today. I sure want to give a shout out to our friends there at the Wagon Wheel Motel in Cuba, and David and Amanda Brenner there at the Roadrunner Lodge in Tucumcari, New Mexico, and the wonderful city of Tucumcari. God bless, what a neat place that is. And Cactus Inn Motel, McLean, Texas. Miss Angela Moreland's giving that place a new lease on life. And of course, the one and only Uranus Fudge Company and General Store. Mere words cannot describe this amazing, interesting, quirky, strange, fascinating, fun place. And Victoria Sugar Shack. I was just out there recently. In fact, I'm drinking coffee from my Victoria's coffee cup, Victoria Sugar Shack mug this morning. So let's get down to business, and we'll get to some questions and talk a little bit here. Good morning, Mr. Jim Carter. Oh, Andy, there is so much to see in Arizona, and I love Arizona, but I gotta say, New Mexico gives it a run for its money. I have to say, if I was forced into choosing just one for incredible road trips, I'd have to give New Mexico just the slightest of edges. Good morning, Robert. How are you doing, sir? Jim, good morning, all the way from Edmond, Oklahoma. Yes, Mr. Carter. Daylight savings time, except here in Arizona, of course, we don't do that. Miss Maggie, all the way from Michigan. Connie, well, God bless. How are things in wonderful, we were just mentioned, wonderful Tucumcari, New Mexico. Connie's got the Main Street program going there. They're just buzzing right along, doing some pretty amazing things in Tucumcari. I need to get on the road and do a live program again from Tucumcari. It's just a fascinating place. Oh, I tell you, I do too. I love exploring old buildings and old places. I do get around. I have to be honest though, this last 18 months, me being sick, this COVID thing, just the apocalypse. Let's just leave it at that. I think that's the least amount of traveling I've done since 1959. And yes, I am that old. I made a trip to Seligman and Needles last year and a lot of area desert exploration. This year has been a little better. I've been down to Prescott, Cave Creek, and a few other places. Lee, good morning. Oh yeah, it looks like we got a little bit of a scammer on here. Yeah, a lot of old cars. A 51 Nash, a 42 Dodge. The old motels. Route 66 is not the most historical or scenic highway. But from its inception, it's always had the best press and publicity. And you'll find great mom and pop motels on Route 66, US 6, US 50, US 20, 12. But there's a magic about Route 66. There's just an absolute magic. You stop at like the Wagon Wheel Motel in Cuba. It's like you're being welcomed home by family. Pretty neat. Jennifer, you get on the road, and before you head up to Holbrook and Winslow, you give me a holler, and I'll tell you where to go. I got some great places up there for you. Bill, me too. Just me too. Yes, the Jackrabbit. Isn't that a wonderful place? Meteor City's interesting. Meteor Crater's interesting. Well, they Lee, I'll talk to them up there, Cindy, and see what they got. They used to have quite a few of my books. I'd stop in and sign them on a regular basis. You'll get back up there, Jennifer. You will. Andy, thank you for that vote of confidence. Jim, thank you. Keith, good morning. How are you? Sandy? Well, folks, I'm so glad that you enjoyed this. And, well, you know, we're going to do this again next week. I had to reschedule. I had a program scheduled for Friday, and the archivist at Mojave Museum was sick. And what we're going to do is they've got a collection of Route 66 postcards and whatnot. And I'm going to try to, you can come along. We're going to do some research. I'm working on this Kingman Main Street walking tour, historic district, Kingman.tours. And I'm writing an article for Route, the magazine. And I'm looking for some pictures. And they just got a huge collection of vintage travel guides from the pre-1930, 1910 to 30. And a huge postcard collection. So I was scheduled on Friday, and we're going to do a live program. I'm going to bring you along with me. We're going to scrounge around down there in the archives and see what we could find for photos for these projects. And Mickey came down sick, so we had to reschedule. We're going to try again for next Friday. As to what we're going to do next Sunday, well, God bless. You know, I got no idea. We're going to either go out for breakfast. We're going to visit and chew the fat a bit, and you get to see my smiling face. Or, well, we'll do another time capsule program. In any case, I want to thank each and everybody who joined us this morning. I apologize for the initial technical difficulties, but that's just become part of the adventure, I suppose. And we'll do this again next week. And until then, mi amigos, I hope everybody has a great and wonderful week. Get out and do some time, a little bit of travel, a little exploration if you can. Give me a holler if you get out on the road, and I'll try to help you get a trip planned out. Get over to Tucumcari, give some of the fine folks there like Connie a holler, and highly recommend it. I got to tell you this one real quick. It's if you go to Tucumcari, there's a lot to see and do, but you really want to surprise and see something, take a look at the Mesa Lands Community College Dinosaur Museum. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. You're going to be really surprised to find a miniature version of the Smithsonian Institution in Tucumcari, New Mexico. And with that said, I bid you adios. And we will do this again next week. Check out Kingman.tours. Get an idea. Go look at their sample tour. Give you an idea of what we're putting together. And God bless those folks at Kingman Main Street are just dedicated to this project. And between this and the community education programs, what I hope to do is, once we get this done off the ground, package it, and I hope to be taking it to other communities and helping them set up similar programs. To accomplish that, I'm going to need more sponsors and going to need more support of that crowdfunding initiative. But that's another story for another day. Nolan, gosh, how are you? I'm surprised to hear from you that the Wi-Fi cell service is a little weak up there at the caverns. Sure good to see you again yesterday, even though it was just a brief visit. You travel safe, young man. Take care. Say hello to Sam for me. My friends, until we meet again, vaya con Dios. Adios.